This tutorial is intended for Blender 2.8 Release Candidate 2 or higher, with key map preferences set to left mouse button selections. Be aware if you're using Blender with the right mouse button, then most of the steps in this video will differ. Let's begin with an empty scene in Blender 2.8. So this time around, let's set up our Blender workspace to do some precision modeling to scale. Go to the Scene Context tab in the Properties panel and click the arrow next to Units. Be sure the unit system is set to metric, then change the length to millimeters. Now set the unit scale parameter to 0.001. At the top right of the viewport, click the Overlays arrow. Change the grid scale to 0.001. This tutorial is based around an older project I had done in 3ds Max for 3D printing. These settings will allow us to work in real-world measurements for most of the operations we'll perform during the modeling process. Press Shift-A on the keyboard for the Add menu. Go to Mesh and select the icosphere. Click the arrow next to the Add Icosphere Adjustment panel. Subdivisions should be 2. Change the radius amount to 10.0 millimeters. Press Tab for the Edit mode. Select any vertex with 5 edges. Press Shift-G for Select Similar, then Amount of Connecting Edges from the options. Press X, then choose Dissolve Vertices from the Delete options. Press 3 on the keyboard for Face Select mode. Select a pentagonal polygon. Shift-G, Polygon Sides. Right-click to bring up the Face Context menu and choose Extrude Individual Faces. Type the number 10 with your keyboard or number pad to snap an offset extrusion of -10 millimeters. Then left-click to drop the tool. Right-click for the context menu and again choose Extrude Individual Faces. This time, type the number 2 on your keyboard to snap to an offset of -2. Then left-click to drop the tool. Press Ctrl, then the plus sign on your keyboard to grow the selection once. Hold Ctrl and press I to invert the selection. Press X and choose Faces from the Delete menu. Press 2 for Edge Select mode. Then click the Select button in the Viewport header and choose Select All by Trait Non-Manifold. Press F to close the holes, then Alt-A to deselect all. Now establish a view in which you're looking directly at one of the pentagonal elements in an upright position. Press 3 for Face Select. Select one of the rectangular faces to the left of the top central vertex on that upright element. Imagine that vertex is the tip of an arrow pointing into a mirror. Follow it straight across to the mirror element and select the polygon opposite your current selection. Right-click and choose Bridge Faces. In the Adjustment panel, change the number of cuts to 5 and smoothness to 2.5. Now select the next available polygon in a clockwise direction along the same element. Starting from the vertex and edge to the right of that selection, follow a straight line across to the mirror element and choose the polygon opposite your current selection. Press Shift and R to repeat the last bridge operation. Simply follow the same strategy for the next set of polygons, using Shift-R to repeat the bridging process. Once you get the hang of it, you should be able to bridge all the remaining polygons on the model fairly quickly using this technique. Should you make a mistake along the way, simply undo that operation. Unfortunately, you'll have to repeat the process from the context menu like we did for the first set of polygons. Once again, the key to this entire process is to simply work from one pentagonal element at a time, and follow the vertex to the right of your selection directly across its normals to the mirrored element, and select the polygon which normals would run parallel to your current selected face. If you think you've got the hang of it, you can just skip ahead to the part of the video where the process is completed. Now select one of the inner border phase loops. Shift G for select similar. Then choose perimeter. Press X and choose faces from the delete menu. Select any polygon on the inner shell of the object. Then L or Ctrl L to select all the linked parts. Press X, Faces, to delete that selection. Press A, then right-click, Subdivide. Select a pentagon face. Shift G, Polygon Sides. Right-click for the context menu and choose Poke Faces. Right-click again and choose Tries to Quads. Now hold down Ctrl and press 2 on the keyboard to swap the face selection to the inner edges. Now go to the Select menu, select Loops, Edge Loops. Ctrl E for the Edge menu. Choose Mark Freestyle Edge. A to select all. Go to the Mesh menu, Transform to Sphere. Change the factor to 1. Press 3 for Face Select. Then Ctrl F for the face menu. Choose Solidify Faces. Adjust the thickness parameter to 2.5 millimeters. Press A to select all. Then in the Properties panel under the Material tab, add a new material and then click Assign. Leave the color for this one at the default white. Press 2 for Edge Select. Then select one of the freestyle edges we'd marked earlier. Shift G, Freestyle Edge Marks. Ctrl B to bevel the edges. Press 1 on the keyboard to snap the bevel width to 1 millimeter. Or simply enter the amount into the adjustment panel. In the Material Properties panel, add another new material to the list. This time, change the color to something other than white. Then press the Assign button. Press 3 for Face Select, then right-click for the context menu and choose Extrude Faces Along Normals. Type the number 2 with your keyboard to snap the offset to a -2 mm, then left-click to drop the tool. Or just change the amount in the adjustment panel. Hold Ctrl, then press the plus sign on your keyboard number pad to grow the selection once. In the Material panel, assign the second material to this selection. Press 2 for Edge Select, then select one of the freestyle edges. Shift-G Freestyle Edge Marks. Control-B, then type 0.15 with your number pad. Alternatively, you could simply type 0.15 mm into the width parameter of the adjustment panel. Now select the edge loops along the borders of one of the openings as shown. Shift-G Face Angles. Control-B for bevel, and once again type 0.15 with your number pad. Or simply type the amount into the width parameter of the adjustment panel. At this point, feel free to turn on the Look Dev Viewport Shading mode to view your object with the materials you've assigned. If you're satisfied that everything looks good, press Tab to exit the Edit mode. Now add a subdivision surface modifier to the object. Change the subdivisions to at least 4 in both view and render parameters. I recommend at least 4 subdivisions as a minimum for sufficient surface smoothing before exporting the model for 3D printing. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and found some success following along. Please consider subscribing to the channel, and don't forget to click that bell icon to be notified when new videos are added.